Hello and welcome to the For We Are Many podcast. My name is Rob. I will be your host and comrade this evening. We may have two more people coming on tonight. Trisha is resetting her laptop. We'll see how that goes. And we have a new guest coming on for the first time. We always have a little bit of technical issues the first time somebody uses Restream. So we're going to be talking about protests in France. We're going to be talking about general strikes in France. We got some videos as well. We're going to be talking about the Communist Party of China's 20th Party Congress. We're going to be talking about the Teamsters striking at Sysco in Boston. There's been quite a few arrests in that. As I understand it, they have pretty much been holding the line, not letting anything in or out of the facility. And we will be talking about, so 2 days ago in 1859, John Brown and a band of men raided Harpers Ferry. I consider it a very important history lesson. So even though that's not really current events, we're going to be talking about John Brown tonight. Hello. Hell yeah, James. It probably means you've been a fan for a year, which is funny because it still feels like it's barely been a year since we started this thing. But it's coming up on January 6th will be 2 years. There was a couple other things we're going to talk about tonight too. But I kind of lost my train of thought. I don't have the sources pulled up in front of me. But I guess a good place to start, to be honest, is the protests in France. I've got 2 videos I'm going to show you. One's from Al Jazeera and one is from Gravitas. We're not going to watch the whole Gravitas one, but the first one's really short, hence the second one. Hey, I hear you typing. Hell yeah.
Oh, cool.
Hey, you're here. Do you got a camera, or are you just going to do audio only?
I'm just going to do audio for now.
All right. That's fine. Well, if you want to introduce yourself.
I'm Chris. I'm here representing a affinity group I work with in the Duluth Superior area, Minnesota, Wisconsin area. Anti-imperialist action.
Hell yeah.
Or is anybody else joining us today?
Trisha should be, but she's been having, well, to be honest, she's been having connection issues since she's been where she's at. But the connection isn't the issue tonight. She had to reboot her laptop. So I will hopefully be able to let her in a few minutes. If not, I mean, last week I did it by myself because she wasn't able to be here, but whatever. It happens.
Okay.
All right, so Paris. Check out the size of this crowd. Actually, before I hit play, I'm going to point out that I have seen so many different median numbers of how many people have been there, ranging from tens of thousands to specific numbers have been 30,000 to 100,000. That's a big window.
Right.
That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if the police, that's where the 300,000 number came from. I wouldn't be surprised if they were trying to downplay the size of the event. But yeah, anyway, I'll shut up and play the video.
There was violence as some protesters fought with police in Paris during what had otherwise been a peaceful demonstration. Thousands of people had turned out to express their anger about inflation, climate change and the French government's planned pension reforms.
We're together against inflation, pension reforms, and public services reforms. It's important people are battling everywhere, even in the oil refineries.
I think a lot of people understand that the climate's being destroyed. It's obvious, but it's about convincing those in power.
Nobel Literature Prize winner Annie Ernaux took part in the demonstration alongside its organiser, opposition leader Jean-Luc Mélenchon.
France's hard left leader, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, is addressing the crowd on that float behind me. He called for this protest and he will hope that it will help revitalise the left-wing alliance that in recent months has been plagued by rivalry, infighting and scandals.
With what we are achieving here today with workers and political organisations, we are creating a new popular front that will one day take power in this country when the time comes.
The political left has been somewhat eclipsed in recent weeks by France's trade unions, which have led a number of strikes, including the recent oil refinery walkouts. At a time when pressure on the government is mounting, Mélenchon wants to regain the spotlight and ensure his left-wing alliance remains a significant opposition force. Natasha Butler, Al Jazeera, Paris.
Check out the size of that crowd. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Right.
So there's kind of multiple things going on that have led up to this. Oil refinery workers have been on strike for a while, wanting wage increases because of inflation, the cost of living. The government tried to force them back to work. So they are calling for a general strike, which officially was supposed to start today. Actually, I gathered these sources last night, so let me see if I can find something from today.
I think it's great that they're practically striking against NATO.
I mean, yeah. And
It's not
polls show that they have the support of like at least 35% of the population of France, even though they're waiting in 8-hour lines for fucking gas.
that shortage is happening because of the conflicts between like the EU oil network and the Russian oil network. Is that correct?
Yes, which I mean, we have the U.S. Has our hands elbow deep in that, just like we do the entire Ukraine crisis. Which is why it is my suspicion that the U.S. had something to do with the sabotage of the Nord Stream pipelines. It doesn't make sense to me that Russia would blow up their own pipeline. And the United States oil companies stand to make a lot of money from the increased demand from Europe.
That makes sense. And it's like less efficient too, as it's farther away. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I am not really seeing anything. There is a thing that says live now, but it's like
or less efficient when it comes to Ukraine. France, I imagine
what?
I said less efficient when it comes to Ukraine. I imagine it's actually. I feel like the front is because things are being like shut on and off, like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's ridiculous.
I just heard oh my God, Trisha made it.
Yay.
Maybe. I see a black screen. Okay, so what I was saying about this live video is I don't think that it's actually live. But it is at least more recent than the one from yesterday. Oh, hey, I actually see you now. Welcome.
Hi.
And you have audio. This is good. We're moving up in the world.
Right? I can hear you better than last time. It's not fucking great, but it's workable.
Right. I'm just going to go ahead and live.
Macron, ta guerre, oh non, venez pas.
I don't speak French. I imagine that they're saying bad things about Macron.
Macron,
probably a good guess.
Les Français sont dans la rue.
Is that shit?
Oh, regardez ça.
Yep.
Oh, je vous dis pas l'odeur. Hein. Ouais.
Oh my God.
I think this is from the first day, actually. They got one with barricade stuff too.
Yeah.
Just trash. Right there.
Wow. But yeah, there was in Germany. So hold on, let me Google that. I haven't heard anything about Germany mass protests.
I've wanted to say that France wasn't the only country. I feel like they're getting more attention because they're like Western.
Yeah, there has been protests going on in other European countries for the last couple of months.
There's ones in like Serbia, Turkey. There.
Well, fuck, Greece has been protesting since like 2011.
Right.
It's interesting to me that there is nothing that makes it sound like it's a big deal. Most of the stuff I'm seeing is from July and August. That's crazy.
On Germany?
Yeah. I mean, there have been protests, though. Climate protests and energy protests. Oh, great. A week ago, thousands of far-right Alternative for Germany supporters marched in Berlin to protest the government's energy policy. I really don't want to see a rise of the right wing in Germany. Last time that happened, it went pretty bad. And we don't have the Soviet Union to bail us out this time. Anyway, so these protests, actually, this talks about France, Britain, Germany, Hungary, Czech Republic, Belgium. Okay, let's start at the bottom and work our ways back up. September 21st in Brussels, Belgium. Thousands took to the streets to protest at soaring energy prices and the cost of living. A similar protest in June drew around 70,000 workers. Czech Republic. Tens of thousands of Czechs protested in Prague on September 28th against the government's handling of soaring energy prices and the country's membership of NATO. The demonstration was organized... What? Somebody's confused here. Time out. The demonstration was organized by far-right and fringe groups, including the communists.
Yeah, I've noticed that they've been framing NATO anti-quote-unquote globalist stuff, even if it's left-wing as far-right in Europe.
Man, the Czechs are confused.
Think of the communists around here. It's like, you're not a real commie if you've got MAGA in front of it. Hate to tell you.
Right.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, so like we pointed out that patriotic socialism was too much like National Socialism, and then they just changed it to MAGA communism. It's got to be the CIA, right?
It's a Nazi by a different name.
Yeah. Please don't fall for far-right traps. That's all I have to say. Anyway, Hungary. Thousands of Hungarian students and parents protested on October 14th, and the second major rally in 2 weeks to support teachers who have been fired for joining the strike action for higher wages.
Goodness.
Yeah.
How do they not have any workers' protections there for teachers to be able to protest without losing their shit?
To be honest, I don't know. Oh, man. Okay, so there's a pilot union. What just happened? So there's a pilot group that's striking for 3 days starting yesterday in Germany over wages. And then in Britain, this is actually pretty sizable. About 1,000 GXO drivers will take strike action over 5 days from the end of the month over a dispute in pay. Warning of disruption to beer deliveries. Watch out, Britain. They're not fucking around. Hundreds of workers at the Port of Liverpool are due to take 2 more weeks of strike action over paying jobs starting October 24th. The Communication and Workers Union, representing 115,000 Royal Mail workers, held strikes in September and early October and have threatened more strikes after months of failed negotiation over pay. There's a pretty common theme here, isn't there?
Like if you're a government employee of some form of public service getting fucked right now?
Yeah. And then listen to these numbers right here. More than 300,000 members of Britain's largest nursing union have begun voting over a strike to demand a pay rise. Junior doctors and ambulance workers also plan to ballot over pay disputes. And then on top of all that, rail workers have also walked out over pay disputes.
They have shit happening if they kissing off all the workers.
No, I mean, there might not be a call for a general strike yet for whatever reason, but like they're halfway there.
Right. That's a huge number of workers right there, just in those things you just listed. Come on, general strike. Bring it the fuck on. Jesus, dude, what happened to your arm?
Oh, that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like the saute pans at work have like this little end where you like put it on a hook to hang it up. And we sear our fish and then put it in the oven to finish, and the pan was very hot and I had it sitting on the stove and I reached over it to grab the pan behind it and the handle hit right there.
Good job, Rob.
Yep.
That looks painful.
That's fine. This is going to sound like sad, but I don't really feel burns much anymore. And exactly,
Harps are
James
too
just
damn.
hit the nail on the head. Well, yeah, probably. James just hit the nail on the head. He said it doesn't seem like anyone gets paid enough pretty much anywhere. Yeah.
Herein lies the problem.
Yeah. Consumer prices have increased. Back to France. Sorry, I guess I probably should have said that. Have increased by more than 6%. Now compare that to what we're experiencing here. They're protesting over a 6% inflation rate. And we're looking at realistically more than double that here. You're breaking up.
Damn it, I'm losing audio.
I heard that. Yeah, so the next thing, I guess. Chris, how much do you know about like how the Communist Party of China works, like how the Party Congress works?
I don't know much. I know it's like more than likely less authoritarian than portrayed, and there's seems to be an actual like extensive democratic process.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I was just gonna say I don't know enough to like give you specifics, but I do know that it is a very intensive democratic process. The party has over 98 million members, making it the largest communist organization in the world. And you know, to like take ideas from 98 million people and put them into a 5-year plan takes a lot of work. But this is the 20th Communist Party Congress. I happened to find a video that's got pretty good translation, real time. And somebody was kind enough in the comments to put timestamps for specific things. So, without further ado, wait, hold on. I did that wrong. I got to fix that. It would be stupid if I did it without audio. And we lost Trisha. God damn it.
And broader since its founding a century ago, the Communist Party of China has taken a remarkable journey. Our party has dedicated itself to achieving lasting greatness for the Chinese nation and committed itself to the noble cause of peace and development for humanity. Our responsibility is unmatched in importance, and our mission is glorious beyond compare. It is the imperative that all of us in the party never forget our original aspiration and founding mission, that we always stay modest, prudent, and hardworking, and that we have the courage and ability to carry on our fight. We must remain confident in our history, exhibit greater historical initiative, and write an even more magnificent chapter for socialism with Chinese characteristics in the new era.
Might help if I unmute. So, like he was just saying, the goal is to keep the ideology, be dedicated to peace, be dedicated to the development of humanity. Here we go.
We will improve the social security system. We will further improve the multi-tiered social security system that covers the entire population in urban and rural areas and see that it is fair, unified, reliable, well-regulated, and sustainable. We will expand the coverage of social insurance programs. We will remain committed to the fundamental national policy of gender equality, protect the lawful rights and interests of women and children, and promote all-around development of programs for people with disabilities. We will move faster to build a housing system featuring multiple suppliers and various channels of support that encourages both housing rentals and purchases. We will advance the Healthy China initiative. We must give strategic priority to ensuring people's health. We will establish a policy system to boost birth rates and pursue a proactive national strategy in response to population aging. We will promote the preservation and innovative development of traditional Chinese medicine. We will improve the public health system and strengthen the systems for epidemic prevention, control, and treatment, as well as our emergency response capacity so as to effectively contain major infectious diseases.
So this section was on human rights. And he was talking about Social Security. He was talking about their healthcare system. He was talking about, I believe he mentioned housing. I mean, you know, none of these are considered human rights in America. There was one more thing that I wanted to show. Hey, what up?
Back. Trying. There we go. It fucking connected again. Yay. Yeah, that shit just like completely froze up. You sounded like Charlie Brown's teacher for a minute and it was like done. Had to reload the page.
Gotcha. We're kind of going through highlights, I guess you could say, of the 20th Communist Party of China Congress. I was just pointing out that in that last piece, it was the human rights section of his speech, and he was talking about healthcare. He was talking about education. I believe he mentioned housing. None of these things are considered human rights in America. Social Security that applies to everyone in China.
Right. These are things that ethically are human rights because they're necessities for life itself.
Right. Oh, this is on the Green Plan, by the way.
Initiative and take a holistic and systematic approach to the conservation and improvement of mountains, waters, forests, farmlands, grasslands, and deserts. We will carry out coordinated industrial restructuring, pollution control, ecological conservation, and climate response. And we will promote concerted efforts to cut carbon emissions, reduce pollution, expand green development, and pursue economic growth. We will prioritize ecological protection, conserve resources, and use them efficiently, and pursue green and low-carbon development. We will accelerate the transition to a model of green development. We will implement a comprehensive conservation strategy, boost green and low-carbon industries, encourage green consumption, and promote green and low-carbon ways of production and life. We will intensify pollution prevention and control. we will make further efforts to keep our skies blue, waters clear, and lands clean. We will work to basically eliminate serious air pollution, generally eliminate black and malodorous water bodies in cities, and strengthen prevention and control of soil contamination at the source. The environmental infrastructure will be upgraded, and living environments in both urban and rural areas will be improved. We will enhance diversity, stability, and sustainability in our ecosystems. Major projects for preserving and restoring key ecosystems will be carried out at a faster pace. We will carry out major biodiversity protection projects, promote the natural regeneration of grasslands, forests, rivers, lakes, and wetlands, enforce the 10-year fishing ban on the Yangtze River, and improve the system of fallowing and crop rotation. Efforts will be made to prevent and treat harm caused by invasions of exotic species. We will work actively and prudently toward the goals of reaching peak carbon emissions and carbon neutrality. Based on China's energy and resource endowment, we will advance initiatives to reach peak carbon emissions in a well-planned and phased way, in line with the principle of building the new before discarding the old. We will thoroughly advance the energy revolution. Coal will be used in a cleaner and more efficient way, and will speed up the planning and development of a system for new energy sources, and we will get actively involved in global governance in response to climate change.
All right, so I obviously don't buy into clean coal. I don't think anybody here does. But they're not just like, oh yeah, let's keep burning coal forever. They're like, until we have new systems in place, we have to keep burning coal. And that's the difference in mentality that matters.
Right.
But they didn't give dollar amounts in this, but they are investing already prior to this massive amounts in green energy. I mean, we'll see if they can. I mean, they industrialized in no time flat, right? Like, I can imagine that they will be just fine. I believe him when he says that they will lead the world energy revolution. But, I mean, that being said, he also didn't pull any punches about Taiwan.
I'm losing audio again.
Hold on. I wasn't saying anything. I was, there we go. Hold on. I had to get it to the right time in the video.
Resolving the Taiwan question in a new era.
Well, like even before you stopped talking to find the right time marker, it was making your voice go garbled again.
We
so
have always
just a heads
shown
up,
respect
it might
and
the
care
fucking ether
for
again.
our Taiwan compatriots and work to deliver benefits to them. We will continue to promote economic and social and cultural exchanges and cooperation across the strait, and encourage people on both sides of the strait to work together to promote Chinese culture and forge closer bonds. Resolving the Taiwan question is a matter for the Chinese, a matter that must be resolved by the Chinese. We will continue to strive for a peaceful reunification with the greatest sincerity and the utmost effort, but we will never promise to renounce the use of force, and we reserve the option of taking all measures necessary. This is directly, solely interference by outside forces and a few separatists seeking Taiwan independence, and their separatist activity is by no means targeted at our Taiwan compatriots.
So we got the part that I wanted there. Basically, he's telling the West that Taiwan is China. It's a Chinese problem. Stay out of it. We will use force if we need to. I mean, like it or not, Taiwan is a U.S. puppet government and has been since 1949.
Yep.
It's
just a little capitalist enclave.
What's up?
Yeah, I just got back.
I said it's just a little capitalist enclave.
Yeah, Taiwan certainly is. I'm sorry about that, Chris. What were you saying?
It's all good. I just got back. My mic was being weird there. It was all grayed out. My mic wasn't working for a little bit, but back now.
Well, that's good.
Yep.
I'm not hearing Chris's audio.
I am. That's weird.
It's really weird.
We were talking over each other for a second there.
I don't know what the fuck my laptop's doing.
Huh. Yeah,
I'm
James
glad
hears you, Chris. We're good.
Glad we got to Taiwan. I totally agree. So, fascist Western puppet, capitalist enclave, etc.
Yeah, and I mean that's literally how they gained their independence, was us recognizing their independence. But like they've always been part of China, and it's literally the government itself is literally the Chinese bourgeoisie that fled to Taiwan to escape the communists. Yeah.
Right. It's pretty trippy. I remember I found a really old like war propaganda film from the 40s that it was an American film talking about our new ally, and they were just talking about Kuomintang nationalists or whatever.
I'll be right back. I need to reload the page.
It was
okay.
It's just really telling how they were extremely supportive of the Kuomintang nationalists, or quote unquote China, in the American media at the time. But now we're just constantly fear mongering around China because we didn't get puppet to stay in.
Yeah, absolutely. And more on that too is as far as we didn't get our puppet to stay. I mean, look at South Korea. That puppet did stay, obviously, but like that, the Korean Peninsula is still split to this day by the most heavily fortified border on Earth because the U.S. doesn't want to let go. Ultimately. We're still operating under an armistice. We're operating under a temporary ceasefire from 1950 fucking
Jeez.
4?
Yeah.
I don't know enough about the North and South Korea, other than that South Korea is a total capitalist puppet. The wars are pretty similar.
Well, I mean that's a good place to. That's a good place to start, really. Look at how much closer they are to, say, Japan than they are to China, or especially to North Korea. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with Sysco, right? They're a nationwide food distributor. I work in a restaurant. I work in restaurants right? So I'm pretty familiar with Sysco, even though I hate them personally as a provider because a lot of their shit is, like pre-made frozen shit, and I'm not about that life. But anyway, after more than 6 hours of talks, this actually happened on the 11th, but the strike is still going on today. I'm just giving you backstory. After more than 6 hours of talks, negotiations between Teamsters and Sysco have broken down. As a result, more than 500 Teamsters represented workers in Syracuse and Plimpton, Massachusetts, are continuing their strike against the company's unfair labor practices. Teamsters president Sean O'Brien said, Sysco pushes its workers to the physical brink as if they were disposable robots. Our members work hard, but they must be compensated with a secure and quality retirement and affordable health care. No longer will we allow this company to churn workers and then throw them away. They're going to continue to stand up and fight for what they deserve. We have a saying on the strike line, one day longer, one day stronger. Pretty solid. More than 230 workers represented by Local 317 went on strike at Sysco Syracuse last week after weeks of contentious contract negotiations with the company. Less than 3 days later, more than 300 workers at Local 653 took to a picket line at Boston. The breakdown comes after a Sysco report showed nearly half of its employees have been in their job for less than a year. It's terrible turnover, is the point.
Especially for a union.
On a recent... Oh my God, yeah. Well, and the crazy thing about that is now they're trying to, pay... Well, scabs, basically, but Sysco drivers in states that aren't unionized to come to Boston and deliver them here.
For probably more money,
Like,
as usual, with scabs.
Yup. Yeah, it's fucking bizarre. And then, of course, people are doing it because, oh, well, I really need the money, blah, blah, blah. No, don't make excuses for being a scab. We all need the money. But you're fucking somebody else's job up.
Right, and it's not even going to be consistent for them. They're just going to get used by the company until it breaks the streak. And then they're going to go back to working in whatever their fucking home is for their regular ass wage and have only gained a little bit to fuck other people out of actually having an improved contract. That's not okay.
Right. I do have another short video for you. It's literally 37 seconds. But this is 37 seconds of mainstream TV news coverage of striking workers. How bizarre. I should have said American media because Europe actually reports on that kind of shit all the time. But anyway.
Right. Hundreds of workers for Sysco Boston, the food distribution company, are striking. More than 300 Teamsters at Local 653 walked off the job around midnight Friday, just after their contract ended. This was the scene at the picket line in Plimpton yesterday. Teamsters say union members were offered a take-or-leave-it deal with the company over insurance, pension, and wage disputes. Sysco released a statement saying they did offer a substantial wage increase, including more health options at a lower cost.
So I also like that they showed them stopping a scab from picking up the food. Anyway, that's why I wanted to show that. But yeah, there was actually 30 seconds of news coverage on it in Boston.
There's about to be some. The Teamsters are about to be striking at the University of Minnesota and University of Minnesota Duluth.
Hell yeah. As I understand it, Teamsters is trying to build up, their strike activities because everybody's getting fucked right now.
Yeah,
and,
they seem They seem pretty
They
rad.
just elected a new president last year, right? And this guy seems a lot more like old school radical, more so especially more so than like the AFL-CIO. They're as liberal as they come. But Teamsters seems to be like, returning to its radical roots, in my opinion. And it's funny how like between last year and this year, now like Teamsters is striking all over the fucking country. And for like 30 years before that, it was always like, oh, well, we can't do that. We can't put our jobs in jeopardy, But like over the last year, they've really come a long way. And, well, it's been building for more than a year. I should clarify that too. But, with the election of this new president, he's actually like, steering it in that direction
Right.
instead of trying to steer it away from that direction.
Right. Well,
I think a lot of it's
definitely...
because there's younger blood in there.
Yeah. I'm sorry, what were you going to say? He just fucking got kicked out again. So I guess we will talk about October 16th, 1859. What do you know about that date? I said, what do you know about that date?
My shit's freezing again. And you sound like Charlie Brown's teacher. What? God damn.
Okay. So October 16th, 1859 was the abolitionist raid on Harpers Ferry led by John Brown. So the reason I wanted to do this, even though it's not current events, is because I feel like a lot of people have no fucking clue who John Brown is, what he did, what he died to, uphold, or what values he died to uphold, rather. But on October 16th, 1859, John Brown led a small group on a raid against the Federal Armory in Harpers Ferry in an attempt to start an armed revolt against the institution of slavery. In Five for Freedom, the African-American soldiers in John Brown's army, Eugene Meyer explains, among Brown's raiders were 5 African-Americans whose lives and deaths have long been overshadowed by their martyred leader. 2, John Copeland and Shields Green, were executed. 2 others, Dangerfield Newby and Lewis Leary, died at the scene. Newby, the first to go, is trying to liberate his enslaved wife and children. Of the 5, only Osborne Perry Anderson escaped and lived to publish the lone insider account of the event that most historians agree was a catalyst to the catastrophic civil war that followed over the country's original sin of slavery. I think the country's original sin would be, genocide. Well, both, yeah. Yeah, I don't think that slavery alone can take that, right? Like, colonization as a whole, like you just said, genocide of the indigenous people of this land, and slavery are all pretty close to equal footing in my eyes.
Right. It's just a matter of building, like, one on another. They did the genocide to fully colonize, to be able to then enslave, and here we are.
So I do have a video for this too. I should clarify though, my source for this is the Zen Education Project. This is the People's History account. It's actually a pretty short thing, but there's somebody reading his final speech. As he approached the hanging scaffold, he stated, I, John Brown, am now quite certain that the crimes of this guilty land will be never purged away but with blood. I had, as I now think vainly, flattered myself that without very much bloodshed, it might be done. So that would technically be his last speech. But this dramatic reading that we're going to watch is his speech in the courtroom a month before he was executed.
Abraham Lincoln is known as the great emancipator. But if there's any white man who deserves the credit for bringing the issue of slavery in an exciting way before the nation, it's John Brown. John Brown. He was found guilty of trying to seize the arsenal at Harpers Ferry. He's brought to trial, found guilty of treason, and 1 month before his execution, he addressed a courtroom in Charlestown, West Virginia.
I have, may it please the court, a few words to say. In the first place, I deny everything. But what I have all along admitted, the design on my part to free the slaves. I intended certainly to have made a clear thing of that matter, as I did last winter when I went into Missouri, and there took slaves without the snapping of a gun on either side, moved them through the country, and finally left them in Canada. I designed to have done the same thing again on a much, much larger scale. That was all I intended. I never did intend murder or treason or the destruction of property or to excite or incite slaves into rebellion or to make insurrection. And I have another objection, and that is, it is unjust that I should suffer such a penalty. Had I interfered in the matter which I admit, and which I admit has been fairly proved, had I so interfered in behalf of the rich, the powerful, the intelligent, the so-called great, or in behalf of any of their friends, either father, mother, brother, sister, wife, or children, or any of that class, and suffered and sacrificed what I have in this interference, it would have been all right. And every man in this court would find it an act worthy of reward rather than punishment. This court acknowledges, I suppose, the validity of the law of God. I see a book kissed here, which I suppose it to be the Bible, or at least the New Testament. That teaches me that whatsoever I would that men should do unto me, I should do even so to them. It teaches me further to remember them that they are in bonds as bound with them. I endeavor to act up to that instruction. I say I am yet too young to understand that God is any respecter of persons. I believe that to have interfered as I have done, as I have always freely admitted that I have done, in behalf of his despised poor, was not wrong, but right. Now, if it is deemed necessary that I should forfeit my life for the furtherance of the ends of justice, and mingle my blood further with the blood of my children and with the blood of millions in this slave country whose rights are disregarded by wicked, cruel, and unjust enactments, I submit, so let it be done.
Good old John Brown. Why won't this exit full screen? What is happening here? Yeah, do either of you have anything to say on that John Brown speech?
Not
No.
necessarily. I had some thoughts coming up in the beginning, just when you're talking about like this country's original sin or whatever.
Right.
It's kind of derailing from John Brown, but like the Taiwan and South Korea and all these like proxy states and puppet states and whatnot can really be seen as another form of colonization. Like, I don't know, you could.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It is
Euro,
another form of
Eurocentric.
colonization.
I don't know. I feel like a lot comes back to colonization, like globally. All these proxy wars, etc.
Well, yeah, this is just like the more modern version of that. Instead of like having direct control and then it being obvious that you are oppressing these people. Oh, hey, look, they elected this leader that just so happens to have all of our interests. You know, like,
right, while like
I feel like they
selling off,
do it to,
like selling off their public resources to private corporations and destabilizing shit, and yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
yeah. How did I not know that Trump called Howard Zinn's work propaganda?
Makes sense.
I mean, yeah, of course he did. But
critical race theory and shit.
Actually, since we're talking about Howard Zinn, because I just read that from Zinn Education, I want to take the moment to shout out Bread Theory. I don't know if he is still doing it, but he has done a whole series on a people's history of the United States, and I recommend everybody check that out. Or, just like read the book. But
right. That book is intense.
Also, last week I published on the website an article about U.S. defense spending and contracts. A lot of the content of that article revolved around this new weapon system with a new sight that has aim assist. And anyway, the point is I wanted to use that as a reason to say, hey, this new technology is quite fucking concerning, and B, this new technology is costing us billions of dollars that could go to literally anything else, and that it would probably find its way into the hands of the police, which I'm currently working on an article titled "The Militarization of the U.S. Police and Its Cost on Society." That will probably be up in the next couple of days. Maybe. We'll see. Anyway, I'm dropping the link for the one that is out now about defense spending and privatized contracts. Everybody take a look at it when you have time, if you haven't already. Yeah, and keep your eye out for the next one.
Sorry, I keep getting disconnected every like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. Well, Trisha's been having that issue for since she's been where she's at, especially.
Yeah, I heard bits and pieces of that. Yeah, my Wi-Fi sucks here.
But Chris, you were talking about the eviction of houseless people in Minnesota, right?
Oh yeah, that's been going on. over the last week or so, is at least. I don't know details, but
Did we lose Chris? Because I'm not hearing his audio. I heard you ask me a question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was hearing his audio and then he was gone. I don't know how you're hearing me, but not hearing him.
Well, I could hear him again once I reloaded the page, but then it cut out again a moment ago and it did the bloopy sound and it's not showing him in the studio now.
Gotcha.
But I take it he's having fucked up signal too.
I mean, I guess so. So I'm gonna read a thing from ACLU Minnesota. Well, I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but as he said, this has been going on for a little while now. 7 homeless individuals who were evicted from their homes in city parks and saw their property destroyed filed a class action lawsuit in federal district court Monday. The complaint against Hennepin County, the city of Minneapolis, the heads of local law enforcement, and the Minneapolis Parks and Rec Board alleges that the city and county violated the constitutional rights of the plaintiffs and others living in the parks by destroying encampments. Giving little or even no notice, law enforcement bulldozed people's shelters, throwing away personal belongings, including keepsakes, ID cards, clothing, and blankets. Clearing the encampments damages thousands of dollars in property. Those tents are $100 a piece, and people's important documents, family photos, medication get destroyed. Said plaintiff Patrick Berry, who lost his tent, mattress, and sleeping bag. He saw friends arrested and pepper sprayed, and he went on to say, people are already suffering so much. It is really cruel what the city is doing. So I'm hoping that they get, justice, but I mean, justice would be ending their homeless situation. And I don't see Minneapolis doing that. It's good to hear that there is a class action lawsuit in progress, but yeah, I mean, they're talking about how it's been going on for quite some time. And there are thousands of people who are homeless in the Twin Cities. The city and county have failed to offer adequate shelter or housing. Instead, the so-called plan is to repeatedly kick out hundreds of residents without permanent homes from public parks, upend their lives, destroy their property, and then fail to find them somewhere a place to live. Throwing away people's only belongings without notice is a shameful violation of their civil liberties. Yeah, to say the absolute least. Yeah.
That is absolutely fucking horrifying. Think about it. Winter's coming. Twin Cities get really fucking harsh weather in the winter, and they're taking away what little shelter these people have. What the fuck?
Right.
It literally costs less fucking money to house people than it does to keep doing shit like this of raiding and pillaging unhoused people's seldom few belongings. Raids like a lot of fucking money to send that many pigs out to go destroy people's shit and throw it in a fucking dumpster. Costs a lot of money to house people in jails when they get arrested for simply not having a house. There are so many studies proven across the fucking board it is less expensive to simply give people appropriate fucking housing. What is the malfunction here with the way people are thinking and having no fucking ethics in how to address these problems?
Hey guys, I'm back. Sorry about that again. What were you just reading off of for your source?
ACLU in Minnesota.
Okay.
I just dropped the link in the private chat in here. I don't know if you can see it on your phone.
It seemed like really well done. I only heard a chunk of it, but
There's a lot more
it's
than what I read too.
right.
But they were talking with one of the plaintiffs about the class action lawsuit, so that's more or less what I was reading. But I also put the link in the comments for the rest of you if you would like to get more information about the class action lawsuit. What did I just do? I see what I did.
Dude, I
I was
hope they
trying
get
to get
awarded enough money for each of them to buy a house.
at least.
Minimum.
I have like one bar on my video here, so I'm not sure if you guys can hear me. Looks like you can. Oh, there.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yep, I can hear you.
Some organizers, I don't know, there is a video I saw. There's in the city is connected with BLM organizer King Demetrius. I don't know if you guys are familiar at all, but he does pretty good coverage. But he a fairly small group of protesters that one of the organizers I knew from down there for BLM. They went into the Minneapolis City Council to pressure to get one of the councilors that they elected, Nikema Levy Armstrong, to do something about the sweep. And unfortunately, due to like careerism, basically, the city councilor that the community elected or whatever just kind of gave them the runaround and like telling them to go here, go there for what they're asking for. And they were asking her to sign a resolution, and it was just really shitty to see somebody.
Oh fuck. We just lost him again. I was gonna try to lead him into this next story when he was done with what he was saying there. I'm still I finally have a 2-monitor setup again. So that's exciting. That makes it a lot easier to like pull up videos and share them, or like when we're doing the Panther classes especially. I think he's back. He's back.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
Welcome
Got cut
back,
out
Chris.
for a quick second. But it's just shitty to see somebody that the community helped elect and that is the supposed community organizer for community organizer for Black Lives just turned down the community that elected her. And I don't know, it's just kind of telling. Comes to like liberalism, I guess. Kind of having trouble finding the right word. You know what I'm saying?
You sound kind of muffled now.
It was just disappointing to see Nikema, the person that community elected, just turned down people looking for the eviction.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it's also crazy how like, there was a moratorium on evictions for how long? Like nationwide.
Right.
And like now it's like we're still in the middle of a pandemic. It's going into winter and we're just going to like
Yep.
It's not even like just evictions are the issue, because then like, okay, so I'm going to go set up a tent in a park and then I'm going to get bulldozed out of there too.
Right. I have a petition here regarding this, but I'm not sure how to post it in the
Oh, we lost him again. So this is out of Alaska. This is one of the things that Chris had submitted to talk about. A local native group. I don't know how to say this village name. Kotzebue. I don't know. Kotzebue. I have no idea how to pronounce that. Welcome back again, Chris. I actually was just moving into your story about the Ambler Road. I don't know how to pronounce that village, but yeah.
A friend of mine from NLM hit me up asking if I could help out with that somehow. And, it looked worthy of support. The exploitative mining industries.
Right. Yeah, it's always like mining or oil, you know. It's
Right.
never like, oh, hey, people actually have to drive through here. It's like, no, we have to fucking get pieces of an oil pipeline into place, or, we have to truck shit from this mine to everywhere else. But yeah, it's always like that. So the native village of Kotzebue Council believes that the relatively short-term economic and other benefits of industrial development in the upper Kobuk region is outweighed by the widespread long-term negative impacts to the fish and wildlife that will result from this development. If approved, the project would bring over 200 miles of road to the region. As it is currently proposed, it would begin at the Dalton Highway near Prospect Creek, cross north of Ambler and Bettles, and terminate in the mining district in the southern foothills of the Brooks Range. Of the total 211 miles proposed, about 26 would cross gates of the Arctic National Park. It would also cover lands managed by the Bureau of Land Management, the state of Alaska, and Alaska Native corporations. The mining district is rich in copper, zinc, lead, and other materials. And the Alaska Industrial Development and Export Authority, which is leading the project, has argued the road will give mining companies the access they need to develop prospects in the area. Those prospects could lead to financial returns to the state and local communities. So, yet again, you have supporters just saying like, oh yeah, if you do this, if you invest this into this company, you're going to get some sort of return. The return never materializes, ever.
There's something interesting I learned around this, actually. The Alaska land system for natives is completely different than it is down here.
Oh, really?
Like, they have quote unquote native villages of blank and only one reservation. Like,
oh wow,
they have all their apparently in the 70s the government signed over like 40 million acres to the natives, but they consider the native villages like corporations, so they're still prey to private corporations big time. But it seems like, I don't know, the native village land system it seems a lot better than reservations, in my opinion. It's just but they're even though they're still subject to those privatization and shit.
Right. James said in the comments, I don't know, West Virginia got slammed by oil and gas and now it's a ghost town. Money leaves when the work is done. Exactly. Let's see. While the road would provide an industry connection between the mining district and the Hall Road, it would also cross prime subsistence use areas, which is of concern to groups who oppose its construction. Construction of the Ambler Road and likely additional spur roads and development of these mine sites and the associated industrial activity and tailings ponds will change the character of the upper Kobuk environment, including the Kobuk River. These changes will negatively affect the caribou, fish, birds, and other wildlife directly through habitat destruction, habitat fragmentation, industrial disturbance, and contamination during the life of the mines and for centuries thereafter. The wildlife and fish that will be harmed from this development sustain the cultural, nutritional, and spiritual way of life of the tribal members. I'm not going to butcher that. It starts with a Q. Hold on, I'm copying it and pasting it and putting it on the screen. If anybody has a guess at how to pronounce this, how do you say that?
I don't know. My signal's so low it's not even loading the text on the screen, so I can't even try to help.
Environmental groups like the Wilderness Society have also spoken out against the road. That's what Chris was just saying. As have a handful of local communities, including Alakaket, Ambler, Bettles, Evansville, Puslia, Kobuk, and Kayakuk, along with Loudon, Rampart, and Ruby. Chris is back. Yeah. Wow. Where did the other thing go? Damn it.
I'm back again.
Welcome back again.
I stepped outside because I'm in like a trailer and the service is weirdly better right outside my door. Do you know if there's a
trailer? Good old trailers.
Do you know if there's a Restream app?
I don't think there wasn't before, but I mean that doesn't mean that there isn't necessarily now. I haven't looked in a long time. I feel like they would probably say like, "Hey, there's an app now" or something.
Right.
There should be though. Streamlabs has an app. I don't know anything about Streamlabs though. I don't know. There is no Restream app for Android though. I did want to talk about. Chris said he wanted to talk about the Second Rainbow Coalition, and I've been sharing into our group the For We Are Many education and discussion group. I've been sharing some of Kwame Shakur and Rob Strong and Hi Thurman, like, you know, videos and posts of them doing their thing out on the West Coast book tour. Kwame and Hi are the two, you know, book tour people. Hi Thurman. Actually, give me 2 seconds.
Matter of fact, while he's grabbing that,
I'm not running downstairs to get my copy of Revolutionary Hillbilly, but as far as Kwame's book goes, oh, hold on, let me turn off that background for a second. There we go. This is Kwame Shakur's book, My Search for Answers, Truth, and Meaning. This is the book that he is promoting on the book tour. And then High Thurman wrote Revolutionary Hillbilly, which is about the Young Patriots organization and the original Rainbow Coalition. Obviously, both books are at different stages, I guess you would say, in the legacy of the Rainbow Coalition. But Kwame is the Minister of Culture of the new African Black Panther Party. Rob Strong, who is helping them put this together and, helping them as they are going up the West Coast, is the Minister of Culture of the White Panther Party. And then there's also been a bunch of Brown Berets, and today they toured the Oakland Mural Project, which gives a brief tour of the legacy of the Black Panthers, which I shared that video from Kwame in the group as well.
My phone is going kind of
here?
slow,
Why?
but I'm going to pop the poster in the comments with the schedule on there. So, because I think there's still a few more events that they're doing. So if you're on the West Coast, check it out nearby.
And if you have a place near you where more events can happen, hit up Kwame or High or any of them really, but Kwame and High would be the two best people to get a hold of, because I know that they want to do more stops, than they currently have scheduled. I am not sure why I'm not trying to look at his group posts. I thought that I put what I was looking for in the group, but apparently I didn't. There we go. Okay, now I found it. This is from Kwame's Facebook page. Obviously, I'm not going to show you the whole video. What I am going to do is share the link. It's a public video. Anybody can go on and watch it in the comments, and play the first few minutes of this video. Yeah. I can hear this better on my phone. I can hear it through this right now. Hold on.
I can't hear it at all.
Yeah, I couldn't hear it.
But,
hold on. Let me go to his other page, because he posted a different thing before. Well, it was after that, actually, but they're in San Francisco today. They were in Oakland yesterday. They were in LA the day before that. He got to meet, I guess I should say, got to meet James Tracy, who wrote Hillbilly Nationalists, Urban Race Rebels, and Black Power, which had been one of the only books about the original Rainbow Coalition at the time. So, it's kind of cool that him and High were in the same space. He also took a bunch of pictures with Panther murals. Where's the thing I'm looking for?
Those murals in Oakland are dope.
Yeah, they really are. Okay, so I'm going to do the one from UC Merced instead of that one. This one's a lot shorter anyway, but... right. What did I do? There we go. There we go. There we go.
Student nonviolent coordinating.
Do you hear that?
Down south. And got her to come to some of the meetings, and she said, yeah, I'm really wrong in my beliefs. She started changing. And Stokely Carmichael, who was one of the people, leaders involved at that time.
Barely on my phone, but
People, they shouldn't go into Berkeley, they shouldn't go into black communities, they go and organize your own. Well, they should go into Berkeley. But, so she did, she started thinking about what she was going to do. She needed to move from Paducah and those areas, so she moved up north to Chicago and got involved with a lot of us, that were involved at that time. There was an organization called Join Jobs or Income Now, which was actually a student or Democratic Society had put together because they saw a need to get people jobs. But found out there was a lot more going on there than jobs, so it turned into quite a community organization. What actually started being run by the community, and Peggy Terry was very influential in it because she managed to, just by her personality and her strength, she was able to become a very effective leader and to convey, the needs of the people. And she, changed. There's a transformation in her, and she, when the Peace and Freedom Party here in California actually was running Eldridge Cleaver from the Black Panthers president of the United States. They chose Peggy Terry to be the vice president, and so she ran. She was also in charge of our newspaper, our newsletter. She was also one of the people who started the first welfare rights organization, Welfare Recipients Demand Action, which changed the whole welfare system within the city. So she was very powerful. She's very good. Very good friend of mine. Her family still, her surviving family is still good friends of mine. But, and I was going to say also, the little baby in the documentary is in the woman's lap. I'm good friends with her still. That baby now. And we talk to each other. She's got kids too. So, but, Peggy Terry, she ran for vice president. She did a lot of things. So, she was a very active woman, within the movement.
I got a question concerning the rural America. You have any comments or opinions about how it's been neglected as far as organizing? I read an article recently by these two people in Pennsylvania where they went out to rural America to try to get women elected. I like their strategy. What they did, when they talked to people, they didn't say Democrat or Republican. They just were listening to what people were saying, what their concerns were, what the demands were. Yeah. And they were able to, talk to people and sort of convince them. And I think that's a tragedy that we neglect rural America. Yeah. Because there's a lot of potential there.
Well, it's always been neglected, rural America. Farming country, there's dispersed, the politicians always pay attention to the major populations usually. And so there's some people in the rural communities that are actually very radical. But the problem is that within the South, I can only speak about, it's hard to get Southern people organized. They just don't want to come to meetings. They don't want to, they just sometimes don't want to even talk about, going to meetings, but they do want to talk about some of the problems they're having. And certainly, some of the things we're looking at down there now, or in the South, is conglomerations again taking over, building, and forcing. They're actually forcing people to sell their land so they can build housing or more businesses coming in. The South is getting to be very populated, and even the rural areas are getting to be very populated. And so, people think a lot of it is Trump country, which, if you get into some of the white rural areas, it is. But there are a lot of people who need some direction, and where to go, and with some of the programs that's being developed by some of the organizations that they're taking healthcare out, to the rural areas, and they're taking other programs out there to the rural areas, and they're the beginning to actually run some of those programs. So it's still, in the South, it's still a mix of, people's attitude toward race or class. And, but that's beginning to change because of the economics of what's going on, the farming. It's just, it's very difficult to make a living at that anymore because of the, the high prices that everything is, and also for the climate change is making a big impact there too. So a lot of people are just thinking about their survival. So yeah, there's some organizing going on, but that's a good area where we should be, and that's what the Young Patriots wanted to be, and it's like I would still want to go in and organize in the rural areas.
Question, Quan. I read somewhere that a lot of black people are moving back from the north to the south. You think that's true? I may not.
Yeah, I want to be one of them. Yeah, I've seen a whole lot. Like a third of my family lives down in Florida now. I think a lot of it has to do with, like for instance, Atlanta. That's a big black population, really from all over that's been moving to Atlanta. Not only think about it as good weather, but I think people like having that community aspect to it too. And I see, like my wife, she's from Florida, and we talk about like the cultural differences between the South and the North and stuff. And it does have that. I remember when I went to Atlanta the first time, and I'm in a gas station, and like I just kicked up a conversation with a guy like we just been knowing each other since kindergarten. And like we left, I thought we was about to exchange numbers and go to the club or go have a drink afterwards. It's a different vibe down there. I think that people want to get back to like that more communal type of community that you feel more, I feel, in the South. Where in the North it's a little bit culturally different, more hostile, even more conservative on certain levels. But yeah, I see that, and I think it also has to do with the fact that after segregation and stuff like that, and the transition in a way from like the lynchings and the absolute white supremacist terror that was going on that was concentrated. Nowadays, the white supremacy everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's more diffused. So going back to the South is not such of a dreaded thing now, And so I think that has a lot to do with it as well, because like I said, I see it in my own family. Like most of my family live down south now. Well, starting to be that, So yeah.
I have a question. It seems that over the years, as far as in my life, there's always been ways to have people stay divided. Right? And sometimes it's a suspicion of something. I think the modern weapon, that is being pointed at us is really the whole thing about people coming into this country without any documentation. We've only had prisons and jails before. Now we have detention centers.
Right.
And those detention centers are being run by corporations.
Yeah.
And even our own Congress people are voting, you know, to have, to pay those corporations to have it filled up with people.
Right.
There was one opportunity here in California called the Vision Act, and it would have allowed people who were sentenced, who were undocumented, to finish their sentence, to not be turned over to immigration. Because right now, a U.S. citizen, for whatever crime they've committed, once they're done with their sentencing, they're complete, they can go back to family and community, but the undocumented cannot. So this is an issue, but you know, part of it is, I think, the fear. I know our sheriff here, he goes to town on going, you know, seeing if someone is undocumented that has committed a crime, and then they make a big old thing about it. See, this is why we shouldn't allow the laws and blah, 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 you know, and it's a scapegoat, but I don't know, you know, I mean, what effort that's gonna take. I think everything's connected, but, you know, I know right now I have a cousin who is out of prison in Arizona. He is from California. He has daughters and grandkids here. He has to pay $200 for each request to move to California. So the officials here have to agree to him coming back, and the officials from, you know, Arizona have to agree for him to come back. They've turned him down. He wants to be with family. He did 20-something years, you know, and he's getting to the grandpa age, right? So to me, it's just such a cruel system that we have, you know?
I want to speak to that. That's a good point. When I was in prison, I only came across one rich person. and he was only in there because he was robbing other rich people. You know what I mean? That's where his mistake was. If he would have stayed robbing poor people, he would have been out here still. He started doing that Bernie Madoff stuff to them, and he was like, yeah, you betraying all of us. He told me, he used to, me and him used to have conversations. I like to pick all class of people's brains, you know what I mean, to see where, like, their class consciousness, what I can learn from them. So me and him talked one day, and he was telling me about his experience being a capitalist, a big-time capitalist in the world and stuff. And he was telling me, he was like, yeah, Kwame, I know, well, I didn't go by Kwame in there. I went by my prison nickname. But he told me, he was like, man, when I was like doing my business down in Mexico, like the businesses down there would promote Mexican people coming up here, like these conservatives and stuff, these George Bushes, these Dick Cheneys and stuff like this, because they saw this as cheap labor. And they saw that the mechanization, just think about the South, when the South, and High talks about it in his book, when they started to mechanize agriculture and stuff, just like all these factories, like just started to displace workers during the industrial age. Well, the mechanization of the South in agriculture drove a lot of people out the South for better opportunities. High's talking about it right now. Like a lot of people down that wants to be farmers, you're not gonna make no living on being a farmer. You're not gonna have the same type of social, economic, social mobility that you once did before. The mechanization, they don't need as many workers to produce more wealth and commodities and stuff like that. Think about that is the same dynamic that capitalist imperialism is doing to third world countries or lesser developed countries, you know what I'm saying, like Mexico. So you have these agro businesses up here in the north that is a lot more sophisticated because they have more time to accumulate wealth, accumulate capital. You know, not only do they have they developed and built up their capital wealth here, they did it on the global monopoly board. So they can go down to Mexico and out-compete a lot of the agricultural businesses out there and drive a lot of those native-born businesses out of businesses and start to take over their market. And some of those markets was more native. It was more organic. It relied more on a bigger population of people to be out in the fields that had a little bit small farms that they could develop their own plots and stuff like that. Well, that's being wiped out. So when people talk about, they coming over here invading our country, what did you do to that country to even put that type of plate tectonic disruption going on down there? Let's also look at the people that y'all been the governments y'all been overthrowing, and then the fascists like Donald Trump. Y'all putting in power down here. These coups that you're supporting, and you wonder why these are brothers. That's what I call them. They are brothers. Right. Everybody that's like Franz Fanon said, the wretched of the earth, the ones that's the oppressed, the marginalized, them is our brothers. Them is our comrades. That's how I look at it. Now I'm conscious. But that's why people are coming in there. This is how you start to break down these stereotypes and these fears, because you start to realize, like, okay, people ain't getting this full story. But that's part of the socialization process too with these institutions like CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. They not gonna ever tell you the full story. Why? Because they serve the same people that's caused the problem in the first place. So they only gonna tell you part of the picture, and they only gonna shape it in a way for their particular policy that they want to carry out.
Yeah, so I'm obviously not gonna play the whole video, but keep your eye on Kwame Che Shakur's Facebook page or Hi Thurman's Facebook page. There are 3 stops into what I think a 6-stop tour. So if you're on the West Coast and you have a chance to go see him, most of them seem to be set up in this kind of Q&A format. They talk about their books and then open the floor for questions. And I think these discussions are important in the long run. The exchange of ideas, the exchange of information. I mean, this is how movements grow. And I guess the movement here would be the Second Rainbow Coalition. It was built by supporters of and founders of the original Rainbow Coalition. So now, we're trying to put together a coalition much like, Fred Hampton and Hi Thurman and Jose Cha-Cha Jimenez did in the 60s. We're trying to do that now. I don't remember the names of all of the organizations in the Second Rainbow Coalition, but it's continuously growing. The whole idea is for us to unite as many people as we can for liberation. And that's 2 good dudes. They're 2 good books. I've learned a lot from both of them. Actually, if you want to go onto our YouTube, search Kwame Shakur on our YouTube channel even, and you'll hear him reading an excerpt of the book. One of these days we got to get high on here, or at least try. But that hasn't happened yet. Yeah, I don't know, Chris. What do you think of this book tour?
I haven't. Yeah. I haven't been able to take the time to watch these videos all the way through, but I've definitely been keeping tabs on it. It seems powerful, and effective at bringing people in, as far as the whole, the intention I gathered from the 2 RCs that they're base building right now to mobilize.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna
the base building seems to be working.
I just sent the link for the Second Rainbow Coalition's Facebook page into the comments, which that's another thing. Kwame and Hai got to one of their stops was at a place that Wayne Kramer is involved with. Wayne Kramer, if you do know his name, you probably know him as the guitarist of the MC5. But he was also the Minister of Culture for the original White Panther Party. He wrote a book called The Hard Stuff. And
I
you know,
just
they're going to be
recently learned about them. The band. What are they called again?
the MC5. It was short for the Motor City 5.
Gotcha.
Yep, they were out of Detroit. They were all political activists. Their guitarist was the Minister of Culture for the original White Panther Party.
Kick out the jams.
Yeah. Kick out the jams, motherfucker. But yeah, so that's another good book to check out. The chairman was John Sinclair, and he was also the manager of the MC5. So, you know, like the activist and music circuits in Detroit in the late 60s were very interconnected.
Nice. There's a really good John Sinclair documentary on YouTube that I just watched a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Basically just like a biopic. But it was really interesting.
Makes sense.
He was super on point.
Also, I know that most of you in the comments have already watched this one, but if you happen to miss it that day, I just put the link to the episode about the People's Coalition rally in Chicago, where Jake came on and we, watched some speeches that happened in Chicago. The People's Coalition rally was put on by the Brown Berets, but obviously the different organizations of the Second Rainbow Coalition were there and representing. And I mean, that was a really powerful weekend, really.
Oh yeah.
And it was like
it seems like the future of the movement there.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously the goal is to get other groups involved and make it really a lasting thing. And I think that the groundwork is being done to see that happen. But anyway, yeah, I don't really have anything else to discuss. I don't know if you do.
We almost covered everything on my list of topics here. There's 3 I'm gonna pass for now. But there is just that recent protest in DC against the IMF and World Bank, where they were
yeah,
IMF members from going into the meeting.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I had read something about it, and I meant to go find out more about it, and I forgot.
And there's like anti-nuke resolutions pushed by anti-war groups, right now, I guess, across the country. There's one passed in St. Paul and Chicago for sure, and we're about to be pushing for that up here in Superior and Duluth city councils.
Oh yeah.
I don't have a whole lot of faith in the electoral process, but the intention with these resolutions is to force our city governments to basically petition Biden. And I think we'll be able to do it. I don't know. Biden probably won't listen, but
Right. Well, I mean, that's the thing. That's I mean, some people like have to become disillusioned by electoral politics. You can't just, like,
right,
you can't just tell them that it doesn't work. They have to figure it out.
right.
And no, James, it's Doritos.
And just, I guess wanted to mention the group I'm representing, I guess, or that I have my name as on here. Been attempting. We were a just anti-imperialist study group for a bit, but the intention is to build dual power and get on the 2RC. And yeah, we've been doing barbecues and feeding the homeless like every 2 weeks up here.
Oh no, I lost them both. But no, that's pretty badass. Um, I would like to see more groups get involved with the Second Rainbow Coalition, obviously, and doing barbecues, feeding the homeless is something that I think that we can all do in our communities, even if it's just like an irregular thing. You have a little extra money, fucking buy some food and cook it up and serve it to people. That being said, I know food's expensive. Holy fuck. I was hoping that he was gonna come back in here, but do you got any final thoughts on, like the Kwame and High footage or on the book tour in general or anything?
You asking me?
Yeah.
So you were cutting out there a minute. Not that I can think of. I'm just really frustrated right now from even trying to get this shit to work. So go figure. I get it reconnected right as you're wrapping stuff up.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
I was actually letting Chris, who, I mean, he just came back in. He was talking about the group that he's in. They're doing barbecues, feeding the homeless every other week, I think he said. And they're
Yeah,
trying to get
sorry.
involved with Second Rainbow, which, I mean, ultimately, all I can really say there is, just you got to build those relationships. Like, reach out to Kwame. He's been involved since day one, since before day one.
Right.
So he would have the best answer. But yeah, I definitely want to see more groups get involved with the Second Rainbow Coalition. The idea is to, as you just said, build dual power,
Right.
build bases of social, cultural, and economic power,
Right.
and political power.
Right.
The statehood,
Going
and
about feeding your community is exactly the praxis that they're looking for.
Right.
Fuck, there goes my signal again.
I hear you though.
Yeah. Last little note I had was on Klobuchar and Stauber. I feel like I was in addition to the dual power, I feel like recalling a lot of these fascist politicians be a nice I'm tripping over my words a little bit, but
oh, you're good, dude.
we want to hold.
Oh, Well, I mean, I don't know what all he was going to say, but my take on recalls is that it's a pretty much surefire thing that almost any other industrialized nation that you could possibly live in has some sort of recall process for, corrupt politicians. And we don't really have that. I mean, that being said, there are methods to, impeach or
Sorry about that,
try
God.
to recall them
And
in most states, but that's not always the case. Anyway, though, I think that recalling politicians that aren't serving us is something that we do need to definitely think about. And welcome back, Chris.
yeah, I'm back. Yeah, not sure how if it rings a bell for you guys. It's like Minnesota oriented stuff or representatives or whatever. But we want to put pressure
My
on
shit's giving me the
Klob-
warning signal again, so I don't know if you can even hear me.
we want to put pressure on Klobuchar for like supporting the Azov battalion and warmongering, and
Fucking
Stauber
internet.
for supporting the
God.
alt right or for being alt right. And
Oh, wait.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with what you just said. These politicians that are feeding money and weapons to Ukraine, to far right wing groups. We need to start, trying to recall these politicians.
We need to put something in
And
place
he's back.
legally where, like, if they do not abide by the constituents who voted them in and what is actually wanted to be done, especially concerning with our fucking tax dollars, then they lose their job. A simple recall process. Like, you're not doing what we hired you to do, get the fuck out.
hell yeah. No. I really appreciate you guys having me on. It's good to be
Right. Yeah,
involved.
I appreciate you coming on. I would like to see you come back. It's a little bit easier usually with a laptop than it is with a phone. But
Okay.
that being said, I mean, other than you blooping out randomly, like I could hear you fine and everything. So that's it's not bad. Yeah. Anyway, you're welcome to come back anytime you want. We usually do this on Tuesday night. I'm gonna try to get better about like making an event like I did tonight, and making sure people know about it beforehand. I haven't been that great about it really since I moved, but I'm still kind of getting in the swing of things. So now I just got to build good habits. No. Anyway,
Right on.
thank you again for coming on. And I appreciate the topics that you put forward for tonight too, because I mean, most of it was stuff that I didn't even know about or that I had overlooked. So, again, appreciate it.
Yeah. I'm definitely down to come back on.
Hell yeah. Well, if this is the first time that you've been on the show, you probably aren't familiar with our outro music yet. But me and my buddy Sterling, who also used to be on the show at one point in time, wrote this. And we've just been using it as the outro music ever since, because it was like, well, I don't want to, like release it because we eventually wanted to do more to it to like finalize it. But yeah, anyway, it's not copyrighted, so we started using it for, so we started using it for this. Jesus Christ, now I'm tripping over my words.
All good. Cool.
James said it's called Said Music. All right. Anyway, hopefully.
You're so excited, like.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, I hope I will see you all next Tuesday, and keep your eye out for the upcoming militarization of police article that, of course, is going to be written from an abolitionist standpoint. Yeah, that's all I got. All right, have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Good night, everybody.
Didn't matter when they sold the devil guns. Didn't matter when they played us right.